Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of No Huddle with Zach Arndt. And today we're going to be taking a look at the Texas A&M Aggies led by head coach Jimbo Fisher, giving a little preview for the upcoming 2022 college football season. Along with Coach Fisher, they have offensive coordinator Darryl Dickey, defensive coordinator DJ Durkin, one of the best in the business. Some key players returning: Ainias Smith, wide receiver. He had 40 catches and 500 receiving yards in each of the last 2 years. Devin Achane, probably one of the fastest players in all of college football. He's also their kick returner. He had 910 rushing yards last year as a backup. Defensive back Antonio Johnson, one of, if not the best safety in college football. He's right up there with the likes of Jordan Battle, a couple of guys from Georgia, Tyke Smith, Christopher Smith. Some key losses include Kenyon Green, two-time All-American at left guard. He's off to the NFL. All-American defensive end DeMarvin Leal. He's off to the NFL as well. He led A&M in sacks and tackles for loss the last 2 seasons. Jalen Weidermeyer, All-SEC tight end a year ago. He's also off to the NFL. With all those losses, A&M went and signed the number 1 recruiting class in 2022. They signed 8 5-stars and 11 top 50 players. Those players include Walter Nolan, Shamar Stewart, Evan Stewart, Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy, Levius Overton, Connor Wegman, Denver Harris, Chris Marshall, Jacoby Matthews, and Anai White. They signed 3 5-star defensive linemen: Overton, Stewart, and Nolan, all 5-star linemen. Levius Overton, many of you probably don't know, but he reclassified to 2022. He was the number 3 overall player in 2023. On some websites, he was number 1. He was above Arch Manning in some cases. He reclassified. I think he finished 15th in his class in 2022, but a big-time talent nonetheless. Looking ahead at the depth chart, true freshman Evan Stewart will probably be wide receiver number 1. Ainias Smith at wide receiver 2. Chase Lane at wide receiver 3. Then you have a plethora of options as backups. You have Jalen Preston, Moose Muhammad, Keith Brown. You also have Chris Marshall, the true freshman. And Noah Thomas was also a true freshman. I don't think he'll get much playing time this year. A lot of receivers in that room. But I expect Evan Stewart to have one of the biggest freshman seasons we've seen in recent history. Offensive line, you obviously have to replace Kenyon Green. And I think Layden Robinson or Trey Zune III will replace him. They have one of the best centers in all of college football in Bryce Foster. Ruben Faithry will probably be the starting right tackle. Then you have Josh Bankhead and Aki Ogunbaye. I'm probably saying that wrong, but he's going to be the starting right guard. Tight end, Jake Johnson and Max Wright make up the 2 tight end spots. Quarterbacks, very interesting. It's going to be a battle between Haynes King and Max Johnson. Max Johnson, the transfer from LSU. Haynes King, the starter last year until injury. The former highly rated dual-threat quarterback is a presumed starter at the moment. But also keep an eye on true freshman Connor Wegman, 5-star quarterback, number 1 dual-threat in his class. He's going to battle King and Johnson for that number 1 spot. Then at running back, Devin Achane and Amari Daniels will probably be the number 1 and 2. Looking at the D-line, this is where A&M's probably one of the strongest in the entire country. You have Turner, Jackson Jr., and Diggs as the starters. You have Donnell Harris, Adolay, Walter Nolan, and Anthony Lucas. All guys who are going to battle for starting spots. And speaking of the D-line, let's just actually take a minute here and realize what A&M did in 2022 with recruiting. They went out and signed the top 2 defensive linemen and Walter Nolan and Shamar Stewart. Then they got Levius Overton, 5-star D lineman, and Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy, who's the 4th best D lineman. So they got the 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 5th best D lineman. And they also got a top 50 player and defensive lineman, Anthony Lucas. So going forward, A&M's going to have one of the best D lines in the country. Even if those guys don't play a lot of snaps this year, they still have Shamar Turner, who's a former 5-star, who had a huge season last year. Donnell Harris Jr., another guy who was highly rated, had a good season last year at defensive end. They also have Anai White, He's an edge rusher, true freshman. He's probably going to get some playing time. Walter Nolan and Shamar Stewart, two of the best players in the country as true freshmen, in my opinion. Like Walter Nolan, you're not a top 3 player in your class at D-line for a reason. Shamar Stewart, he's out of Florida. Everyone is offering him coming out of high school. He's going to come in and play right away. So they're going to have about 4 or 5 5-star or former 5-star players on that D-line. Looking at linebacker, they have Andre White Jr. and Edgar and Cooper. At corner, Tyreek Chappelle, and Jalen Jones make up the corner spots. At nickel, they have Deuce Harmon and Brian George. Not a miss there. Either one of those guys is going to give them quality production at nickel. Corner is set. They also have Denver Harris at corner, the 5-star corner. Forgot to mention him. At safety, they have Antonio Johnson. Many people think he is the best safety in college football. If he's not the best in college right now, many people have him number 1 on their draft boards in terms of safety rankings. They have Damani Richardson, returning starter. True freshman Bryce Anderson, another highly rated true freshman at safety. He's going to get some playing time this year. So all in all, A&M's defense is going to be outstanding in 2022. Going forward, they should be top 10, top 15 nationally every single season. Looking at some team stats from last year, they were 45th in offensive efficiency. They were 8th in defensive efficiency. They were 7th in defense in terms of allowing explosive plays. They were 10th in finishing drives on defense. Turnover margin, they were only +1, which was 62nd ranked. Now, the problem with A&M under Jimbo Fisher in his first 4 seasons has been the offense, the lack of explosive plays. They were 55th ranked in explosive plays this season. They've never been able to throw the ball down the field. Last season, they averaged 29 points a game, which was good for 56th. They averaged 200 passing yards per game, which was 88th. And they were 71st in the country with only 390 yards per game. Defense, on the other hand, they had the 3rd best scoring defense in the country, 36th best rushing defense, 17th best passing defense, 14th total defense. They only allowed 320 yards per game. Those numbers were good for an 8-4 record, as many of you probably know, and a 4-4 record in the SEC. Looking ahead to 2022, I have them starting off the year on a 3-game win streak against Sam Houston and Appalachian State. Miami does come to College Station this year. Mario Cristobal, first year. I like the Aggies in that one. That's going to be one of the most watched games of the season, I expect. So I have A&M winning that 3-0. They play Arkansas every year in Arlington, the annual game. I think Arkansas is going to get them again, back-to-back years. 3-1 at that point. At Mississippi State, that should be a cakewalk, line of scrimmage. A&M should dominate that game. At Alabama, circle your calendars, everyone. October 8th, probably going to be the Saturday night game on CBS, 8 o'clock. That's probably going to be the game of the year, most watched game in college football this year. Maybe Ohio State, Michigan over that. But A&M at Alabama, all the talk in the offseason between Saban and Fisher, Will Anderson taking hits at A&M. That's going to be one. Have your popcorn out. At South Carolina, probably a win. Ole Miss, Florida, I have them winning those as well. At Auburn, that could be another blowout. Auburn's O-line isn't the greatest. A&M has one of the best front sevens in all of college football. I also have them beating UMass. And then, as I mentioned in the LSU video, if you haven't watched that, I think LSU is going to beat A&M in the last game of the season. A&M plays UMass. Now, they're going to be down. It's not a big team. They may lose focus after that game. I expect Brian Kelly to go in there and win that game. It's going to be a low-scoring, close game, but I expect the Tigers to win. And I have A&M going 9-3. That may seem like a low prediction, or maybe not up to what some people would expect. But I just think they're 1 year away from having a great offense. And all these young guys on defense, this is going to be like their practice season, quote-unquote, for next season in 2024 also. Because I expect when Connor Wegman gets the keys handed to him, this offense is going to be rolling. They got 5-star receivers, 5-star offensive linemen, highly rated tight ends, receivers. Everything on offense is going to be clicking. That defense I already went over. So maybe next year they could go 11-1, 10-2, 12-0. You never know. But this year I expect the Aggies to go 9-3 with losses to Arkansas, Alabama, and LSU. That's going to do it for today's video, guys. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I hope you all have a great day. I'll catch you in the next one.